Hi, we will do today a tutorial on cloud and particle simulation. First, we open our 3ds Max. We will create first a box. This will be used to model a cushion from it. We need to give some more details to it. And we need to also create a plane which will act like a floor to our object. As we will be in need of many vertices, I will add turbo smooth to this. And I will iterate it 2 times. So as you see, we will have many vertices for this object. And we will need to apply a cloud modifier to this one. And we need to also give some details about the objects. This is box 1, and we have the plane for our floor. So we need to choose both of them. The plane will be our collision object, so it will act like the floor of this world. And the box object will be our cloud, and we can select different types of clouds. In order to make a cushion out of this box, we need to choose wet clouds. And we need to have like some air inside of this object. So I will put 40 to pressure and 10 to damping. And this is our cloud. This is the collision object, and I click OK. So when I click this object again, you see that it has a cloud modifier. And because we put this object as a collision object in our scene, it has also the cloud modifier on it too. I will go to this one, and there are different types of simulation options. And the simulation will take as much time as your timeline has. So for us, it will be like 100 frames. But as you know, you can change the length of the timeline here, or the end time here. But for us, 100 would be okay. There is 2 options, simulate local and simulate local damped. Simulate local will be less calculated, it will take less time, and it will be less accurate. And damped version will be calculated more, and it will be more accurate. But as we will have a really simple simulation here, we can just use simulate local. As you see, the cloud is filled with pressure, and it was also it acted like a cushion, and so we created quite a realistic cushion out of this. If you click simulate local again, it will simulate it will end the simulation, and you will have this geometry. If you want to further do something with this object, you can also convert this to an editable poly. but then you don't have the option to go back and simulate it again. But as we have like a really simple shape and we are satisfied with it, this will be okay for us. So we will use this one as a particle for our particle animation, which we will create it somewhere here. Therefore, I will first create a cylindrical shape, a circular shape. This will be the initial point where our particles are going to be created. I convert this shape to editable poly, so it's now a surface. I put it somewhere here, so our particles will be created inside of this object. And we need to have a plane again, which will act as the floor of our animation. So I create a plane. Maybe it would be better to have a different color for this one. So we have our initial point and the plane. In order to create the particles, we need to go to create and particles and particle flow source. And I just click somewhere. Actually, this is not an object, it's just a system. As you see, we have created this system, and we can now go to the particle view, which appears here. And when we click it, we see our system actually. This object here is actually this one. It is quite similar to Material Editor, so it is a visual programming of this particle. The bird is that it creates these particles, it positions them, it gives some speed to it, rotates them, and some shapes are created in this particle, and they are going to be displayed actually. So we will modify them so we have our own particles. When I click to the bird, it says that how many particles it creates. I guess we don't need to change those, but we need to change the position these particles are created, because as you see, when you these particles are created here, so we want to modify this. I go back and I click to the particle view. I want them to be created in this circle actually. So therefore I need to have a special position. I will use these tools here to have the position. I need to have a special position of them. So I click position object and I delete position icon by clicking the delete button. I click this one, position object, and I need to select my position. So I clicked add and click this one. So this will be my point of position after the particles are created. Let's see this one. So when I click, I see that the particles are coming from this shape. I click to my particle system again and go to modify and click to particle view. So I would like to have a special shape, not a cube shape. So this will be my next thing to do. Therefore, I need to choose a shape instance. I put it just there where the shape was, and I will also delete the shape as well. When I go to shape instance, I need to select the object. So I would like to select this cushion here. I click this one and select this will be my object. As you see, I select my object, but I still don't see my object produced here. Actually, those are produced there. When you render them, they will be visible. So they are actually here. So each of these marks are actually one of our objects, but it would be nice to see those objects as well. So I will make this as the next step. When I go to the particle view, I need to render them. I need to display them because they are being rendered, but they are not visible to us. When I go to the last parameter here, I need to select, instead of ticks, the geometries. But now I need to be able to see my geometries. So they are created, but they are just going through my floor actually. So I need to also use this plane in my particle system. Therefore, I need to put another system here, which is in the forces. There are the deflectors, and I will use a universal deflector. This is just also a system that I create, and I need to also pick the object, which is this one. This is the deflector now. This belongs to this deflection system, but it's not still in my particle system. So I click my particle system again and go inside of it, and I create a deflector also here, which will be the collision object. So when those things are created and then they fall, they should collide to my object. When I click this one, you see that there is an option called deflector. I will edit, or I will search it by the list. So this is our universal deflector that we created just now. I select this one, and hopefully our particles should be not falling through our scene. So now you see that they just bounce, but for me it's maybe too much because they fell and they are even further than the point they fell from. So we can also adjust this as well. So this was our birth point. I will put it somewhere here. And maybe you noticed that when we were creating it, there were some options like bounce, variation, chaos, friction, and other options, so we will modify them. So I don't want to bounce them that much. It was too less. I want to have some variations, and I would like to have also some chaos and friction. So I guess it's a bit more realistic in that way. So I maybe need to make my plane a bit bigger. Because we have just 100 frames, we don't see the animation or the simulation further. So this was quite a very simplistic way to create a cloth object and also use it as a particle for a simulation. Maybe we can also go and in the coming weeks we use the particle for different kind of things. But for now, I guess you can really use it in your scenes to create more animations and more effects in your scenes. Thank you.